Namaskar, good afternoon. Imagine waking up one day to read your own obituary in the newspaper. Not that typical, predictable, boring obituary in which you are eulogized as if you were a gift to the mankind, but the one that calls you merchant of death. Merchant of death. Yes, that's exactly what happened to Alfred Nobel, the man who invented dynamite, the man who saw himself rich, successful, someone changing the world, suddenly labeled a villain. Or picture this, a person hiding in jungle for 30 years, refusing to believe a war ended, unwilling to get out of the jungle because he thinks that war is still on. That was Hiroo Onoda from Japan, Second World War time. Hiroo Onoda, not trapped by enemies, but by his own internal beliefs. Two men, two stories, worlds apart, yet bound by one profound truth. Unlearning is a conscious, deliberate, transformative choice. The theme of TEDx today. In a rapidly changing world, the rate of learning has to be greater than or equal to the rate of change in order to survive. So survival depends on our rate of learning. But survival sits at the base of Maslow's pyramid. And survival is not equal to growth. Growing, staying relevant, shining, flourishing, being resilient and bouncing back, it requires something else. And that is courage to unlearn. So the real critical question, the big ticket question is, do I have an appetite and the courage to unlearn? So those of you who believe yes, please raise your hand. I see few hands. Nevertheless, let's proceed. So in my more than close to now 3 decades of work as HR and L&D professional, we quite often talk about learning and unlearning. Learning is seen as addition of new skill, degree, certification, and qualification. More importantly, learning is about relatively permanent change in behavior coming from reflection and practice and that kind of internalization. Unlearning is a different ballgame altogether. Unlearning is about inquiring, questioning, challenging, giving up dysfunctional behavior and attitude, deleting those apps from your mobile and those apps from your mind which you think are of no use. So, as we get further into this talk, the point which I would like to highlight before you is, plant this thought in your mind that what is that one thing I would like to unlearn today? And I can bet my last penny, by the end of this talk, you will have something coming in front of you. Now let's come back to that story about which we were talking. I'm trying to learn, this is not helping. Anyway. Back in 19th century, Alfred Nobel, he was obsessed with nitroglycerin. Everyone feared it. But Nobel thought he could tame it. It was dangerous, highly dangerous substance. And he could tame it. He invented dynamite. Safer, powerful, revolutionary. And it changed the landscape of construction, mining, warfare. Money poured in. Nobel became one of the richest person in Europe. And then, in 1888, a particular newspaper, confused with Nobel's late brother, published an obituary titled, "Merchant of Death is Dead." It further said, Dr. Alfred Nobel, who died yesterday, invented ways to kill more people faster than ever before, just died yesterday. Imagine the shock. Someone who created a tool, who had invented something, was seen, was pictured as a villain. And it created a very deep, radical unlearning process, a deep self-inquiry for Alfred Nobel. And what we see today as Nobel Prize, a major part of his fortune, he created that fund, honoring science, peace, and humanity. Alfred Nobel chose to unlearn. So, converting his embarrassment and regret into hope and impact. But there was this another person, Hiroo Onoda. 1944, Second World War time, and his commander ordered him conduct guerrilla warfare and never surrender. He was sent to Philippines Island. Very next year, 1945, Japan surrendered, World War came to end. But Onoda refused to believe. Search parties were sent inside the jungle. Leaflets were dropped from the helicopter, but Onoda thought it is enemy trickery. Only in 1974, imagine 30 years, 1974, a college student, Japanese college student, Norio Suzuki, he went inside the jungle and convinced Hiroo Onoda to come out. He placed one condition: bring that commander who gave me this order. Fortunately, that commander was alive. So only when he came, Onoda did surrender. Can you believe that? 30 years of self-imposed isolation and adversity. Onoda did not believe the changing circumstances. Now, when we get into these two stories, and I connect the dot with my close to now 3 decades of work in HR and learning and development area, 3 important pointers emerge before us. Pointer number 1, rigid beliefs can imprison us. So true. Pointer number 2, unlearning requires courage to adapt and evolve. Is it simple? Of course not. And pointer number 3, growth happens when we let go of the past. And for so many of us, letting go of the past itself is so very difficult. Quite often, people ask me that, is there any kind of benchmark, any trigger, any pointer so that we can figure out someone who is not open to unlearn? I shared that there are actually 3 signals. So you don't need to do any blood test or kidney function test. If you are noticing this kind of language or attitude in a person, understand that this person is really not open to learn. This is just how I am. What can I do? I don't need feedback from anyone. I'm fine the way I am. You are the one with the problem. So when you hear this kind of attitude or statement from a person, you can understand that this person is not open to unlearn. I can see a few smiles here. You must be picturing someone already who is using these kind of sentences. In fact, I realize that when I'm getting trapped into this kind of attitude, the picture what I find for myself is that someone who has locked himself in a cage with keys in my own pocket, and I'm trapped and I'm not willing to come out. That's the picture, that's the metaphor of a person who is non-unlearner. Unlearning, which is so very important, and we have seen a couple of speakers already talking about something very, very closely related to this theme, is about asking yourself hard questions. My research, my study tells me that these 5 questions can be very, very important turning point questions. And of course, you can make a note of these 5 questions. Question number 1, belief. What are those beliefs that are holding me back? Habits that no longer serve me. Gap in the way I am perceived by the world and my own perception about myself. Willingness to change, even if it is uncomfortable for me. And the last one, am I ignoring something which is right in front of me? Have a look at these 5 questions and just turn to a person who is sitting next to you and think about what is that one question from this slide you would really like to explore. And I can tell you that one question is good enough to create the transformation. One key pointer which people quite often ask me, when we get into these kind of sessions and debates and discussion, that are there ways to ignite the unlearning appetite? Yes. There are 3 simple ways. Number 1, listen carefully to feedback from family, friends, strangers, colleagues. Way number 2, reflect deeply on failures, regrets, and moments that didn't go as planned. Because this second point, what you see here, there is a treasure actually lying there. Number 3, understand what is really expected of you in your different roles in life. And these 3 pointers can ignite our unlearning appetite. Coming to the last part, call to action. And I think this is our alchemy moment, the theme what Gibbs has given. The call to action, I'm sharing with you 3 litmus tests in order to really ignite and fuel your unlearning journey. Litmus test number 1, time. Time exists in 3 dimensions for us: past, present, and future. Figure out where do you spend your maximum energy. Are you tied to those days of yesterday, regrets, pain, suffering, or tied to future which is yet to come, endless planning, FOMO, or you live in this moment? The real alchemy lies in learning from past, envisioning the future, but being in here and now. Litmus test number 1. So figure out where do you spend your maximum energy, past, present, or future. Litmus test number 2, voice. We receive insights from 2 sources: introspection and the feedback from the world. Alfred Nobel was willing to take feedback from the world. Onoda refused. So if I'm always and continuously listening to my own voice, the possibility is that I will become narcissist. So are you willing to take feedback from the world? Whose voice do you really listen to? Only yourself or others also? Litmus test number 3, vision. What is the vision you have crafted for yourself? What is the future you are choosing, creating, crafting for yourself? Vision is not just about goal. Vision is also about kind of compass in which you are having your energy, in which you are having your priorities, in which you are having your values. So what is the vision you have for yourself? In a nutshell, I think unlearning is like a rainbow. And these 7 points, what you see here, sums up the real essence of unlearning. Creating moments of pause and reflection at least once daily. Giving up dysfunctional behavior. Just 2 years back, I have given one dysfunctional behavior that while talking to anyone, either in this setting or in 101, I keep my mobile away. And thanks to my son who brought this feedback in front of me. Letting go, not clinging to something very, very dearly, which is of no use today. Living in here and now, not always being in past or in future. Being open to feedback, and we can see what kind of transformation Nobel did. Staying resilient and positive. Our speaker number 1 was a perfect example of that. And last, being intentional and purposeful. I think when we talk about unlearning, it is about choosing, it is about deciding whether I am willing to come out of the cage, come out of the jungle or not. The choice is yours. Thank you.